Bill Gaither is a name that millions of people around the world know and love. For more than 6 decades, he has been one of the most important figures in gospel music. His songs have played in churches, homes, hospitals, and concert halls across every corner of the world. When people hear his music, something happens inside them. It is hard to explain, but those who have experienced it know exactly what it feels like. There is a warmth, a comfort, and a deep sense of peace that comes with his melodies. Bill did not just write songs. He created moments that people carry with them for the rest of their lives. From small church gatherings in rural Indiana to massive television broadcasts watched by millions, his reach has been extraordinary. His name has become a symbol of faith, hope, and the kind of joy that does not disappear when life gets hard. Yet, despite all of this success and all of this love from fans, Bill Gaither's story is not simply a fairy tale. It is a real, human story, filled with highs and lows, victories and struggles, moments of great joy, and seasons of deep pain. As he approaches his 90th year, it feels like the right time to look back at who Bill Gaither really is, where he came from, what he has faced, and how he managed to keep going when many others might have simply given up and walked away. To truly understand Bill Gaither, you have to go back to the beginning. Bill was born in 1936 in Alexandria, Indiana, a small and quiet town where life moved slowly and faith ran deep. Alexandria was not a famous place. It was not a city full of opportunity or excitement. It was a modest community where neighbors knew each other by name, where church was the center of social and spiritual life, and where hard work and simple living were considered virtues worth holding on to. Growing up in this kind of environment shaped Bill in ways that would last a lifetime. From a very young age, he was surrounded by music, not the kind of music that plays on radio stations or at big concerts, but the kind of music that fills a small church on a Sunday morning, where ordinary people lift their voices together and mean every single word they sing. That sound got into Bill's heart early, and it never left. As a child, he did not just enjoy church music, he felt it deeply. He could sense that there was something powerful happening in those moments of group worship, something that went beyond the notes and the lyrics. It was connection. It was faith being expressed out loud, and young Bill Gaither wanted to be part of creating that kind of experience for others. His family encouraged him, and he began writing songs while still very young. Those early songs may not have been masterpieces, but they were honest. And that honesty would become the most important quality in everything Bill Gaither ever created throughout his long and remarkable career. Many people go into music because they love the spotlight or because they want to earn a good living. Bill Gaither was different from the very start. For him, music was never just a job or a performance. It was a calling. From the time he was old enough to understand what ministry meant, Bill believed with his whole heart that God had given him this gift for a specific reason, and that reason was to serve other people. He felt that music had the power to reach people in ways that ordinary words could not. A sermon could explain a truth, but a song could make a person feel that truth deep inside their chest. Bill understood this, and it became the foundation of everything he did. He was not chasing fame, he was chasing purpose. This is a very important distinction because it explains why his music has lasted so long and why it continues to touch people even today. Songs that are written purely for commercial success tend to fade quickly, but songs that are written from a genuine place of faith and service tend to stick around. They find people in their darkest moments and remind them that they are not alone. That is exactly what Bill's music has always done. He made people feel seen, heard, and loved. And he did it not by pretending that life was easy, but by writing honestly about both the struggles and the hope that can carry a person through those struggles. His calling was clear, and he followed it with remarkable dedication for his entire adult life, never losing sight of the reason he started singing in the first place. No story about Bill Gaither is complete without talking about Gloria. Gloria Gaither is not simply Bill's wife. She is his creative partner, his co-writer, his fellow dreamer, and in many ways, the other half of everything the Gaither name stands for. The two of them met and fell in love, and when they joined their lives together, they also joined their creative gifts in a way that produced some of the most beloved songs in gospel music history. Gloria had a gift for words that was absolutely extraordinary. She could take a deep theological idea, something that might normally feel distant or complicated, and turn it into a lyric that a child could understand and an elderly person could cry over at the same time. Together, Bill and Gloria became something greater than either of them could have been alone. Their partnership worked because it was built on more than just shared talent. It was built on shared belief. Both of them believed that songs should be honest. They should not sugarcoat real life or pretend that faith means everything will always be perfect. Instead, they believed that the best gospel music speaks to people right in the middle of their pain and says, "Even here, God is with you." This philosophy gave their songs a depth and a sincerity that audiences could feel immediately. It also meant that writing songs was sometimes an emotional and difficult process, because they were not writing from imagination alone. They were writing from lived experience, and that made every song they produced together something genuinely worth singing. As Bill and Gloria's partnership deepened, their ministry began to grow in ways they had not fully expected. One of the most significant early steps was the formation of the Gaither Trio, which included Bill, Gloria, and Bill's brother Danny. This group began performing together and quickly discovered that their sound connected with audiences in a powerful way. People were not just entertained by the Gaither Trio. They were moved. Churches invited them to perform. Word spread from congregation to congregation, and slowly but surely, what had started as a small family musical project began to grow into something much larger. The group's recordings began to reach beyond the local area, and their reputation spread across the country. This was still a time before the internet, before social media, before the many tools that musicians use today to reach large audiences quickly. Everything happened through word of mouth, through church networks, and through the simple power of music that genuinely touched people's hearts. The Gaither Trio represented something important in gospel music because they were not polished in an artificial way. They were real. They sounded like people who actually believed what they were singing. And in a world where performance can sometimes overtake sincerity, that realness was refreshing and deeply appealing. Every concert they gave felt less like a show and more like a gathering of people who shared the same faith and the same hope. That feeling became the signature of everything Bill Gaither would build going forward. One of the most important truths about Bill Gaither's life is that it was not always easy, even when it looked that way from the outside. The world saw the concerts, the awards, the television specials, and the sold-out venues. What the world did not always see were the private battles that Bill faced along the way. There were seasons of exhaustion that come from years of constant ministry work without rest. There were moments of doubt, the kind that visit even the most faithful people, where the weight of expectation and responsibility felt almost too heavy to carry. There were health challenges that forced Bill to slow down when everything inside him wanted to keep going. And there was the unavoidable grief that comes with watching beloved friends, collaborators, and fellow artists pass away over the decades. The Gaither homecoming videos and concerts, which became one of the most celebrated projects in gospel music history, were filled with faces that are no longer with us. Bill has had to say goodbye to many people he loved deeply. That kind of ongoing loss takes a toll on a person, no matter how strong their faith. Yet what is remarkable about Bill is that he did not let these struggles silence him. Instead, he allowed them to deepen his music. The pain became part of the message. The grief became part of the testimony. And the result was music that felt even more authentic, because it came from someone who truly knew what it meant to need the hope he was singing about. Perhaps the single most impactful project of Bill Gaither's career was the Gaither Homecoming video series, which began in 1991 and went on to become one of the best-selling video series in the history of Christian music. The idea behind the Homecoming videos was beautifully simple. Gather together a group of gospel music legends, sit them around a room, and let them sing, share stories, and celebrate the music they all loved. What Bill did not fully anticipate was just how deeply this idea would connect with audiences around the world. People did not just watch the Homecoming videos. They watched them over and over again. They shared them with family members. They played them for elderly relatives who recognized the old songs and wept with joy. The videos captured something that is hard to manufacture and impossible to fake, which was genuine community, genuine worship, and genuine love between people who shared a lifetime of faith. The series also served as a kind of living archive, preserving the voices, the stories, and the personalities of gospel music artists who might otherwise have been forgotten by younger generations. Bill gave these artists a stage again, at a time when many of them had faded from public view. It was a generous and visionary act, and it cemented his legacy not just as a performer, but as a true servant of the gospel music community. As Bill Gaither approaches his 90th birthday, it is natural for people to look at his life and feel a mixture of emotions. There is deep admiration for everything he has accomplished. There is gratitude for the music he has given to the world. And yes, there is also a gentle sadness that comes with watching someone you love grow older, knowing that no person can sing forever. Bill has spoken openly in recent years about the changes that come with aging. The body slows down, the voice changes. The energy that once seemed limitless begins to require more rest and more care. He has had to accept that some things are no longer possible in the way they once were. But what has not changed is his spirit. Those who know Bill personally speak about a man who still lights up when he talks about music, who still believes deeply in the power of a song to change a life, and who still feels that his calling is not finished. At nearly 90 years old, Bill Gaither is not a sad story. He is a triumphant one. He is proof that a life built on genuine purpose, honest faith, and love for other people can produce something that outlasts any single moment, any single song, or any single performance. His music will continue to play long after he is gone, carrying the same message it always has, which is that life is hard, but God is faithful, and hope is always available to those who look for it. That is the real story of Bill Gaither, and it is a story worth knowing.